Navigate the evolving business landscape. Our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
As entrepreneurs, leaders, and high performers, we all carry the same burden. We're told this secret. The secret to success is simple. You've just got to grind a little bit harder, move a little bit faster, and just do a little bit more than the last person. But deep down, we know that movement doesn't always equal progress. Just because you get to spin the wheel doesn't mean you get to win the prize. I found that out the hard way. My first experience with hustle culture, I wasn't at a business seminar. I wasn't reading a self-help book. To be honest, I was at one of the biggest music festivals in the world. It's called Electric Daisy Carnival, and it's hosted in Las Vegas, Nevada. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people make their way from out of town across the world just to see all these shining bright lights. These lights, these DJs from around the world, and all of the most incredible people that can get there. These lights that shine at midnight make it as bright as noon in the middle of the desert. The music is bumping so loud that it literally rattles your chest. And these DJs create this vibe that is totally unmatched around the world. And it's insane because all these people are traveling to get in and experience this once in a lifetime experience. But me, I wasn't dancing. I wasn't celebrating either. I was hustling. I was pinballing from one group of girls to the next, getting rejected after rejection after rejection. At one point, I was literally spinning from all the rejection that I had to sit down. And in my moment of reflection there, a voice came to me. And it said, Rob, if you want to stop this spinning and start winning, you need to get serious and start making some changes in your life. So fast forward a few years, and I finally started getting a little more serious. I stopped chasing girls as much, and I started chasing paychecks, wins, and milestones. I started this personal training business, and I'll tell you what, business was booming. I had clients lined up all day long. My schedule was packed from dawn till dusk. And I was grinding, I was hustling, and I was finally winning. Until I wasn't. Some holiday weekend came rolling around, and majority of my clients had left to travel to go experience life with their friends and family. And I sat in my cold, dark apartment looking at my empty, bone-dry schedule. I pulled my phone out, desperate to book a training session with somebody. I'm swiping through my contacts. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Just like your desperate friend on one of those bad dating apps. I was trying to book a session with anybody who was available, but nobody was. I sat there in silence and had to started thinking to myself, this isn't right. Awareness kicked in, and I realized that session after session wasn't really winning. It was just another form of spinning in disguise, and I was stuck in that spin. That moment of reflection, though, taught me something that most entrepreneurs never really realize. We don't get stuck because we're not working hard enough. We often get stuck because we're working too hard on the wrong things. Today's hustle culture worships movement. But remember, movement doesn't always equal progress. And the cost of that constant movement without making any progress is way more than just lack of money. It's energy, it's clarity, and it's the time that you never get back. So I had to ask myself, if working harder isn't the answer, then what is? For me, it came down to three simple things. You got to look good, you got to feel good, and you got to do great things. Those three simple steps became what I call the prime performance process. And I use that to teach entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and early stage side hustlers all around the world to help them generate momentum for the different projects that they're working on. And it's really simple too. It's just that look good, feel good, do great things. Because when you are truly looking good, you show up with such strength, confidence, and presence. You carry energy and motivation into every room you go into, and you can tackle anything that life throws at you. And when you're feeling good, you move with such efficiency and flow and focus that stress doesn't control you. You stay steady, you stay clear, and you act intentional. And when you do great things, you begin to attract better people. You create opportunities that really multiply, and you generate impact that truly lasts. See, to successfully achieve each phase of the prime performance process, you have to follow two prime principles. Therefore, there are 6 in total. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time today to dive into all 6 with you guys. So I wanted to share with you guys instead 2 of the most powerful prime principles that'll help you. And if you follow those, it'll help you stop spinning and start winning today. So the first principle I want to go over with you guys is all about clarity. For me, this lesson came back just a few years ago on a scorching hot summer morning. I'm talking about the kind of heat where the dirt below your feet starts to crack. You can smell the heat in the air. And it's the kind of heat that really makes you question your life choices. As I stood there that morning, my choice that day was that I was actually going to step back out onto the rugby pitch for the first time in nearly a decade. But that's all right, because in my head I was like, yeah, college Rob is back. College Rob was fast, strong, and he dominated the sport of rugby. We're talking about the guy who helped bring his team to a state championship, then go on to compete at a national level. And that guy was unstoppable. As I started jogging out onto the field, I told myself, don't worry, Rob, it's just like riding a bike. You've got this. You just got to do what you used to do, and no problem. You'll be cruising down the street to easy victory lane. But unfortunately, present day Rob needed ibuprofen just to show up. About 5 minutes in, reality hit me like a hard tackle. Every play just felt so slow. My body wasn't reacting the way it used to. My passes were late, my tackles were clumsy, and to be honest, I was way more out of breath than I wanted to admit. I kept looking around and asking myself and saying, like, why is this so hard? What's going on with me? Why am I struggling like this? I used to dominate this sport. And then I realized that I was struggling not because I wasn't good enough. I was struggling because I was trying to play the game as somebody I had used to be. So in that moment, I made a choice. I decided that I was going to stop reliving college Rob, and I was going to start playing as present Rob. I began to position myself a little bit better. I set up better and smarter passes. I began to conserve energy where I could. And then I slowly began to adapt to the gameplay. And eventually I evolved. By the end of the match, I wasn't the fastest guy on the field, and I definitely wasn't the strongest person on the pitch. But I was effective. And I contributed. In fact, I had contributed so much so that in my first game back in nearly a decade, I was named man of the match after our victory. See, that day taught me something, and it carries over into every aspect of life, entrepreneurship, leadership, or rugby. It taught me that real success doesn't come from clinging to the past successful versions of ourselves. Real success comes from stepping into who you need to be next. And that's where clarity comes in. Because if you're lost, a map won't help you. It's only going to show you the places that you've already been to. What you really need is you need to have a flag, some kind of marker planted at the top of the mountain that you're climbing, whatever project that might be. That flag is there in order to show you who you need to become in order to get there. So if you can remember the acronym FLAG, F-L-A-G, and realizing the first letter F stands for foundational values. This is where you want to look and ask yourself, what do you truly stand for? Not what's popular, and definitely not what's the easiest, but what are your non-negotiables that you live your life by every single day? See, I once thought that one of my values was hard work, but after reflecting a bit, I realized that hard work is just a behavior. It's not really a value. My true values were growth, connection, and impact. And every single day that I was working in my personal training business, I was breaking those values, going against those values. See, your values are your compass. Without them, you'll climb the wrong mountain and wonder why it feels so empty at the top alone. And once you've got your values defined, we move to the second letter of the acronym, which is L. And L stands for lifestyle alignment. Here, you want to ask yourself, do your daily actions reflect the life that you say you want to live? Or do your habits and actions slowly pull you away from that dream life you're trying to build? When I started my personal training business, I said that I wanted freedom to do all the things that I wanted to do with the people that I wanted to spend time with. But in reality, I ended up creating a cage for myself, becoming a slave to my clients and their schedules. My free time became their opportunity to get workouts in. And I said I wanted impact and I wanted to create more connection, but I was so burnt out that to connect with friends and family was impossible. And I couldn't even just get myself to take care of my own health. So it was all just surface level connections, and it was a dark time for me. So once you get yourself kind of dialed in, you've got your values aligned, and you have your lifestyle aligned with the life that you want to build. You got to ask yourself, if someone followed you around for a week, would your actions match your goals? Because the third letter of the acronym F.L.A.G is A, and that stands for aspirations. Here you want to do a deep dive in and really ask yourself, if the goals that you're chasing after, are they really your goals? Or are they just instilled on you by somebody else? For years, when I first started the personal training, I was chasing being the busiest trainer in town. But I realized that that isn't actually my aspiration or goal. That was just somebody else's scoreboard that I was checking the points for. And if you don't choose your goals, you'll end up spending your life building somebody else's dream. And that brings us to the final letter of the acronym of F.L.A.G, which is G, and that stands for growth opportunities. So you're going to want to have to do an audit on yourself here and say, hey, where are you intentionally stretching yourself? Because growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you step into the discomfort. You're hopping on the stages, into the new roles with different responsibilities, and is rising to the challenges that you don't quite feel ready for yet. Because without growth, even your values, your lifestyle, and your aspirations are all clear and aligned. Without that growth, you'll stay stuck at the same level, and your projects will never take off, and you'll stay spinning forever. So a quick recap there. That's the F.L.A.G acronym. So if you're looking to plant at the top of the mountain, you've got to have your foundational values, your lifestyle alignment, aspirations, and growth opportunities. Plant your flag and align every decision against that, because success isn't about getting back to who you were. It's about stepping into who you need to be next. But I told you guys I wanted to share two powerful principles with you. First one being clarity. And the second one here is all about connection. Because once you know who you need to become next, the following question is, who's going to help you get there? The second principle here this lesson came from me, of all places, was actually at a Yankees baseball game. Now, if you've ever been to a Yankees Red Sox matchup, you'll know that the energy is wild. And this one particular game was on a Sunday night, nationally televised in New York City. My buddy gives me a call up and he goes, hey, Rob, I've got a couple of tickets. You know, it's that Sunday night game. There's a pretty good chance that we can get on TV. We can get our 15 minutes of fame. So we decided to increase our chances of getting that fame, and we decided to show up in full uniform. However, if you were thinking baseball jerseys, gloves, and caps, you're sadly mistaken. We showed up in full costume. My one friend was dressed as a giant taco, and my other buddy was a neon green skin suit. And myself, I went as Santa Claus, of course, celebrating Christmas in July. And you know what? It actually worked. By the fifth inning, we were celebrities. We had people literally lined up to take photos with us. We must have met over 500 people, giving high fives to kids left and right, cracking jokes with complete strangers, just hanging out, chillaxing, enjoying the entire time. And like I said, we must have met over 500 people in that evening. But the craziest thing, I don't remember a single face. I don't remember a single name of those people that I met. But the only people I do remember are my two buddies, Taco and Green Man, who were standing by my side the entire time. Reflecting back on that moment, yeah, it was pretty cool to connect and meet all those people. But in life and business, for any kind of project really that you're working on, connections matter and they're important. But to truly be successful and to truly generate momentum and to truly start winning and stop spinning, to me, connections don't matter as much as relationships do. And every day we're constantly told that the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And although that can be true sometimes, but to me, I believe that real success comes from not just collecting connections and contact cards, but from really building depth with the right connections. And that's why in my prime performance process, I always teach about the team triangle. And if you envision a triangle, at the very top, at the point, there's the smallest spot. And this is reserved for one person. And this is the coach. The coach is your mentor, your role model. This is the individual who sees through your blind spots and pulls you into the rooms that you wouldn't normally enter alone. See, one of my coaches once pushed me not to just build better programs for clients, but to build better systems to help them create better lives. He saw that what I couldn't, and because of that, I began to shift. Trading hours for dollars became trading time for creating bigger impact and helping more lives and projects change. And if you shift down the next level of that triangle, this is reserved for your team captains. So you've got your coach at the top. The second level down, you want to identify 3 captains. These captains are your peers, the ones who run beside you in life. They challenge you, yeah, and they compete with you, but most importantly, they hold you accountable. See, through life, I've had captains who would call me out when I started slacking on projects or my daily negotiables, or even they would start to push me when I was pushing myself too much. They would pull me back and say, hey, Rob, you're getting pretty close to burning out. And I also had these captains who pushed me to get onto the stages before I felt ready. These captains, they don't just let you coast. They force you to grow. And it's important, really important, to have somebody who's brutally honest by your side. And finally, moving to the base of the triangle, this is the foundation. And this is your crowd. These are your supporters. And if you can identify at least 5 crowd members, this will help you because they'll carry you and support you and remind you that you're not in this adventure alone, especially when things feel really heavy and you start to doubt yourself. Your crowd doesn't need to be huge. Like I said, just identify 5 people can make a world of change. For me, it was just a handful of friends and family who reminded me that even when business was slow and I was doubting myself and I was confused on what I wanted to do when I was leaving personal training, they were there to remind me that I'll work through and I'll figure this out and that I wasn't going through this alone in isolation. I could call on them anytime and I could lean on them when I really needed that support. So to go back and recap the team triangle, at the very top, you've got a spot for 1, and that is your coach. You want to look for 3 team captains. And if you can identify at least 5 crowd members, remembering that it doesn't need to be hundreds of connections like I did at the Yankees game, But it is important to identify these individuals because the right people in the right roles don't just move you forward. They help you stop spin and really start to win. So if you take nothing from everything that I've been sharing, please just remember these 3 truths. Remember that, number 1, movement isn't always about progress. Number 2, hard work without clarity is often wasted effort. And number 3, success isn't always about more connections as much as it is about deeper connections. And if you carry these 3 truths with you, you'll start to see the difference between spinning and winning. But here's the hard truth for you. These lessons didn't come to me overnight. Like I said earlier, I didn't learn them from a podcast or a book or a seminar. I learned them the hard way from reflecting on moments. And I wanted to share one final moment that's very personal. This moment was more important to me than any of the others because it helped bring everything together and into focus. And for me, that moment was Tuesday morning, July 27th, 2017, roughly 7:35 in the morning. I remember that day so clearly because the night before it had poured so hard. It was raining and it was coming down almost as if the sky itself had ripped open and the gods were mourning. But that morning, that Tuesday morning, it was peaceful. The sunlight broke in through the window and it was warm and comforting. Much like when you take a fresh, like a fresh towel out of the dryer. I sat there next to my dad's bed while the steady beep of his machine was kind of like the soundtrack of life at the time. And suddenly that calm peacefulness shifted as my dad opened his eyes and looked at me for what would be his last time. In that moment there were no words exchanged. It was just a glance. But in that glance, I could hear him as clear as can day. His message to me was to take care of yourself. Don't work so hard and be good to your sister. Here's the hard part. I hadn't listened. I felt that message, but I ignored it. I went right back to the hustle, right back to the grind, right back to spinning. It wasn't nearly until a year later where I was there staring at my phone and the empty holiday schedule that I finally understood. Looking back now, I see it clearly. His words, his message became the blueprint for prime performance. His message of take care of yourself was look good. Make sure that you show up with confidence and energy to tackle anything. Don't work so hard was him telling me to feel good. Make sure that you're clear, you're focused, and you're moving in that flow state with efficiency. And his message of be good to your sister was do great things. Get around better people and create opportunities that multiply so that the impact is endless. His final message became the foundation for prime performance. And I believe that's why people wait for a crisis to change. But honestly, I believe awareness is a choice that you can make before it's not too late. My story isn't just my story, it's yours as well. And every single one of you are standing at a decision point today. You can either stop spinning and keep mistaking busyness for progress, or you can keep chasing the older version of yourself. Or you can plant your flag, build your team, step into who you need to be next. Because most people believe that success is a destination, but success isn't a place that you get to. Success is a decision that you make. And today you have a decision. Are you going to keep spinning, or are you ready to start winning? Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.